Hello, hello. My name is Gazimov, and this is a bit of an experiment. Uh, so I thought I'd go outside, a bit unusual for a gamer, and have a look in the great big open world that we have here. Full of dynamic and interesting events that are going on all around me. Kind of reminds me of something that cropped up on Unicorn Duck Shadow Puppet, Game Breaker's WildStar show recently. And this was all around two buzzwords that are kicking around: dynamic events and cadence. So dynamic events means things which aren't static, where sometimes they happen and sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. And cadence means the rate at which you deliver updates. So this could be new dynamic events, this could be new static updates, this could be all kinds of bits and pieces. And the two things kind of conflict with each other in interesting ways. So on the one hand, you've got things like Rift, which is doing dynamic events which are something like 10 minutes, 15 minutes long. Rift spawns, does something and then goes away, but they don't really vary that much. They're all just pretty much the same kind of thing. And then you've got the stuff that's being planned for WildStar, which Jeremy Gaffney talks about in the recent lunch, where he says that he's got events that last about 4 hours long. But because you're leveling through the zone so fast, you don't notice that it's a dynamic event. It appears, to all intents and purposes, to be static content. And then you've got people like Guild Wars Do, who are now doing 3-week updates. Their cadence has increased dramatically. So they're not doing dynamic events, but they're just producing content every 2 to 3 weeks. And that's massive, massive rate of change. When you compare it to World of Warcraft, that does updates once every 2 or 3 months. That's a huge difference. But what does it mean to us as gamers? Some people are complaining now that Guild Wars 2 is too fast with its updates. They arrive too quickly, and by the time you've kind of found out about it and you dip in and you do it, it's near the end. You don't have the time to actually do anything that's part of the event. That can be a bit frustrating. You kind of think, oh, should I dive in and do that event thing and do all the achievements and get the rewards? There's only 2 days left on it, I'll leave it. It's great for the people who are in Guild Wars 2 every day and playing it really heavily, because they've got all this fantastic content. But for those of us who only dip in occasionally, it can be a bit daunting. When do you pick your weeks to play Guild Wars 2? If you look at World of Warcraft as well, they're rumoured to be moving to a much higher update schedule. But there was kind of a dependency around, or not dependency, there was kind of a knowing thing where you could say, okay, Blizzard might only be updating 2 or 3 times a month, but you'd get a new dungeon, you might get a new raid tier, maybe a new season in PvP, stuff like that, all the time. So that was pretty good as well. But nowadays, if they look at moving up to the higher stuff, then you kind of feel, well, what's each update going to contain? When are you going to get the meaty updates, the stuff that you really want to have with the new raid tier? And what's going to be the kind of storyline pushing stuff? And what's going to be like the little fluff festivals and stuff? And that was one of the reasons why they originally produced the various festivals that you got throughout the year, to kind of do simulate high cadence content without it actually being new content all the time, if that makes sense. So what's the actual perfect setup for us as gamers? Do we actually want dynamic events? Do we actually want high cadency? And what's that sweet spot that we want from developers? And to be honest, I don't know. And I think, to be honest, it depends whether you're kind of latched to a single game and you're playing that fairly heavily, or whether you're kind of running 2 or 3 games concurrently. So I think that possibly for most people, having a cadence of about 2 or 3 weeks is too high, and having a cadence of 4 weeks is is about spot on, but having a mixture of events that evolve through that as well is kind of something to look at as well. So I think it's going to be a bit tricky, and I think it's going to be a bit difficult, and I think it's going to take a lot of work to understand what we want as gamers, and what we want to experience, and how we want to consume all of that content. And also understanding that there might be some stuff which is tailored for people who are playing every day, and people who are just playing, say, once a week or for 1 week a month or something like that. And getting a balance of all of that, I think, is going to be a bit trickier. Because, of course, every game wants the people playing it to be playing every week. That's ideal, because you're more likely to spend items in the cash shop. So that's the puzzle, really. And I don't think there's an easy answer. I think it's probably going to vary from game to game and from kind of group to group, whether you're a hardcore player that's dedicated to something, or whether you're someone who's a bit more casual, a bit more, dip in, dip out, whenever. But let me know what you think in the comments, and give me your opinion. That'll be fantastic. Anyway, I am Gazimov, and I will see you again. Goodbye.